Test, test. Hello, hello. Test, test. You hear me?
Go ahead.
Testing, testing. Hello, hello.
Yeah, too good.
All right.
When you're ready.
I'm ready.
It's time for the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan. Blake Sloan, one of the top real estate agents, not only in the state but in the world. He's been featured in Forbes magazine, the Wall Street Journal, NBC, and many other publications. And now, the Expert Advantage Real Estate Show with Blake Sloan.
Welcome to Blake Sloan Real Estate Show. Awesome new show this week. All kind of crazy stuff going on. Second week after the election. We kind of second show after the election. And we're seeing lots of excitement in the marketplace right now. Big numbers. Our team put 8 under contract in one day last week. And so we're seeing that so-called Trump bump already. We'll talk about that, kind of what to look for going forward. And that's in the face of high interest rates. Rates haven't really gone down yet, even though the Fed reduced their rate last week. We'll talk about kind of what that means and why that is, but lots of confidence we've seen in terms of people jump back in. We've had so many buyers and even sellers who were on the sideline just waiting to see what's happening. And it's a very interesting time of year because we're coming to the holidays. We're seeing lots of people still move, lots of things happening. So that's great news out there for home sellers, great news out there for home buyers who've been on the fence overall, where they're feeling a lot more confident. And we'll talk about that and what numbers we've seen so far with that as well. The brand new micro market numbers are in. We'll talk about that this week. That's like what each neighborhood, each zip code is doing. One of the shocking numbers of City Myrtle Beach is down 23% year to date in terms of sales. So hopefully we see that kind of bump back up. We'll talk about that as well. Some very interesting news, like I said, regarding interest rates. We had the Fed reduce their rate last week, quarter point, but also the bond market has not done great. So much money is back in the stock market. We'll talk about why, but interest rates have not gone down. They've been bouncing around low 7s the last week. So we'll talk about what that means. And also an article I had a couple weeks ago we can talk about is why home sales bounce back after elections. And we have some historical data that's pretty interesting. We'll talk about kind of how that works and what we're looking for here. And I think we'll obviously see this based on what happened last time, what can potentially happen in terms of real estate, which would be great. Some amazing success stories. Our team's been absolutely crushing it. Our investment fund bought another property this past weekend. Loris, cash, easy, simple as is. They loved it. It was perfect for them. And so lots of great stuff we'll talk about. Also, if you're thinking about selling first of the year, now's the time to get your house prepared for that. And we'll talk about how to do so on today's show.
Industry leaders have just won the real estate biz kit. Been featured in Forbes, Wall Street Journal, NBC, Realtor Magazine, and many other national publications. He has been personally endorsed by Sean Hannity and Glenn Beck. One of those by itself is an accomplishment, but all of them together is unprecedented. Last week, we learned a little about how you and your team work and how a good portion of your success has come from the trademark systems you have developed to help both buyers and sellers get in our market. Recap quickly for anyone new to the show what those are exactly. A quick overview of how they work, Blake.
Absolutely. And again, that's a promise I made myself just multiple years ago, just hearing horror story after horror story after horror story. Like, I'm going to talk about it every single week until I don't have that problem anymore. And last week I shared a brand new scenario where someone just went with an average agent, a discount agent, who was their neighbor, part-time neighbor, and they cost them $80,000+ in their home sale. That was exactly broke down. I did a whole blog post about it, did a whole video about it. If you want to go to our website, just Google Sloan Knows a Group, look at the most recent blog post. There's a whole video, breaks down the data, what it was. It's crazy. We'll talk about that. But the biggest mistake that everyone makes is they make the mistake of thinking that all real estate agents are the same. And it could not be any further from the truth. Just like any doctor, any lawyer, right? If you're charged with a crime you didn't commit, or someone's suing you to try to take all your assets, the last thing you want is a part-time attorney who's only tried a few cases. But for some reason, real estate, they want a part-time agent. They want the cheapest agent. They want somebody who my friend told me about who also teaches, third grade public school and also does real estate, which is not what you want, right? Because you're talking about your largest asset, and every single variable in the process, if it's handled correctly, puts money in your pocket. Anything's handled incorrectly, it costs you money. And so what most people don't realize is the average agent sells less than 4 homes per year. That's 1 per quarter. And so there's so many nuances that can make or break the home sale. And what ends up happening is once those are broken, or once they're mismanaged, the only option you have is to reduce your price. And so what happens is home sellers tend to leave a lot of equity on the table. That example I was talking about last week, I'll just kind of recap it. We met with somebody didn't really go over price, kind of show what we did. When everything, they're like, all right, great. They met with somebody else who's a neighbor friend. They said, hey, well, I'll list this thing for super low, 1.5% commission total, which is like a new record. I've never heard of that. And I guess they weren't paying a buyer, which is this new world after the NAR settlement. But it hurts them, right? It ends up costing them. And so the property's worth $300,000. Agent gets it and lists it for $211,000. And it's insane. And then obviously gets offer on it, first day it sells $211,000. It hasn't closed yet, but it's under contract. And you can look around the data. Any agent with even a membership, to our MLS has this tool we have. It's almost like Zillow, but it pulls property values. You can see a range, and even that says 300,000. It even shows that it was listed at 71% of actual value, and it's right there. But they went with the cheaper option. The agent mismanaged that variable, and it cost them $80,000 plus. And I see this happen over and over and over and over again on both the buy side and the sell side. And so we always talk about the single most important variable. If you take anything from the show, is the single most important variable that determines your success or failure as a home seller comes in one thing and one thing only. That thing is the agent that you choose, period. And why that is, when you're selling a property, there's 118 different variables from A to Z. Most people don't realize that. Most agents even don't realize that. They just kind of go by the seat of their pants. They do the 3 Ps. They promise you the world to get the listing. That they tell you they're number one. Usually, we had this happen yesterday. My other agent didn't sell it. He told me he was number one. And we're like, well, number one of what? And they always tend to say they're number one, but you don't realize that's like their little small office or, of the month, 1 month or whatever it was. But you always want to actually verify that. The second thing they do is they put it into MLS. And 3, they pray that someone else brings a buyer. Meanwhile, they're down the street trying to get the next listing because they're just trying to survive. If 50% of listings sell, that means they got to hustle at least get half the listings to sell. So they're trying to get more. And what happens is you end up leaving your hard-earned equity on the table. It happens over and over and over. And so what I did, I was like, there's got to be a better way. And years ago, I kind of flipped the business model upside down. It's what got featured in Forbes, Wall Street Journal, Fox News, all these things. I said, look, we can do it a different way. I looked at what people did outside of real estate and brought that same model inside real estate, designed this thing called the Guaranteed Sold System, the only proven system that sells homes twice as fast and for 21% more money than traditional methods. And it works very, very, very well. And so if you want to know more about that, reach out to me. We show it to everyone. It absolutely blows their mind when we sit down with the clients. Even a lot of realtors we get who own property here but live somewhere else. Anytime we show it to them, it absolutely blows their mind. For buyers out there, it's very similar. There's 100 plus variables on the buy side. If each one's handled correctly, it saves you money. You get the property you want. Anything's handled incorrectly, guess what happens? You lose out the property you want, or it costs you money tremendously. And so if you want to know more about how those work, reach out, call me, 843-808-SOLD. You also go to blakesloan.com anytime. But the number one thing is the agent you choose matters. We did a study 2 weeks ago where a national thing came out. 50% of calls to realtors don't even get answered or responded to, right? So you want to make sure that buyers see your property and they like your property. They reach out, that someone answers and calls them back and helps make sure they can close them on that property. So reach out to us, 843-808-SOLD. Take a quick break right back here in a second.
Real estate market is constantly changing. Now, here to give us more insight into this is my friend Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group.
And Rick, remind me, I have a new Hannity commercial I can forward you.
Huh?
I have a new Hannity commercial I can forward you. I haven't sent it over yet. Okay. Okay, I'll send it.
Here's what I'll say. Every seller's needs are different. Some need maximum convenience, and we deliver that every single time. Some need the most amount of money, and we have a program for that as well. We have a trademark program that makes settlers up to 5% more money than traditional industry methods. All right, great insight, and thank you for this update. Call Blake Sloan today at 808-SOLD. That's 808-SOLD. Or online at blakesloan.com. That's blakesloan.com. And consider your home sold.
Hi, I'm Barbara Morgan. We work with several options of themselves. Really takes away the stress.
That's right. So it's a contract. So on certain dates, taking after the home will be different.
That's great. The seller has a big work time.
You've got through the marketing plan, so it's a high price.
Look at my friend Blake Sloan. The home sold on your terms.
Welcome back to Blake Sloan Radio Show. Brand new market update. All kind of stuff have market right now. And again, we always have two types of numbers we track. We talk about the rearview mirror numbers. That's what closed last month and even the rest of this year previously. And we'll talk about those. We have the brand new numbers in for the micro market. And that's what each zip code does. It's the hardest to do on radio, but the one I get the most feedback about. So go through each zip code. They're all over the place to talk about. We also have the front windshield numbers. That's like what's happening real time, like what properties go under contract. Because if it closed last month, then it actually went under contract 30 to 60 days prior to that. So you could be making decisions based on data that's 3 months old. And so things change big time the first this month with the election. So we're seeing a big bump, not just here. I was even looking at property in Florida for investment stuff, and they're seeing the same thing. Lots of my friends in these top masterminds I'm in across the country have seen a lot of action. People who've been dormant for a little while, who were on pause, are jumping back in. Lots more excitement. And we track those two numbers. In the last 7 days, there's been 423 properties under contract for big numbers, 177 million, 146,000. We always talk about summer numbers like 200 million. Being right before the holidays and being November, December, anywhere 200 million is absolutely insane. I think we're going to see that really bump up in December and January because so many people are getting back into the market, especially depending what happens with interest rates. But some big time properties under contract last 7 days. One property at over $6 million, one property at $3.5 million, 4 properties over $2 million, 18 properties over $1 million, and 84 properties over 500,000. So lots of big money coming in here. Lots of excitement. People looking to invest who've had their money on the sidelines, and inventory's still been climbing. So right now there's 1,462 active single family homes on the market in Horry County. Last week's show was 1,446. And so you can constantly, the week before that was 1,429. And we track this every single day in my office. And so inventory's been climbing. Again, it's going to be a little more seasonal, less seasonal than usual, because typically a lot of people want to hold during the holidays, but there's so much pent up demand where this was obviously a very, important election that a lot of people are very fearful, who were on the sidelines for months, who are now jumping back in and super excited. I was actually reading a thing from Bill Ackman. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar who he is. Big hedge fund manager, big liberal kind of left wing guy for years and years, was even an anti-Trump guy for a while, really kind of backed Trump. And he talked about after the election, he posted this long thing about how much excitement was on Wall Street, how lots of mergers and acquisitions have been kind of put in play. And lots of people are talking big deals already because they're seeing potentially a lot of stuff opening up. Also a lot of private equity deals he was talking about. And we're seeing the same type of excitement. People on the phones were nicer. People on the phones were more excited. And so if you're thinking about selling, I'm just going to have you consider it maybe beneficial to do it a little bit sooner rather than later due to so much pent-up demand, so many buyers on the sidelines. And if you add in there, eventually get rates come back down, which everyone's predicting they're going to do soon, at least in December, January. If you remember last December, rates dropped almost a full point in the week before the end of the year last year. So right after Christmas, between Christmas and New Year's, and the market went crazy January, February, March. And so that's something we're hoping happens here. We'll kind of see what's going on overall. Looking at really quick, the recap of the macro market, which is everything Grand Strand related, really quick. If you look at closed sales for resale homes just in the last month, they're up 14% year versus year, which is good, right? There was a dip last year, kind of in November, which is kind of where you're seeing that bump back up. But it is up versus last month, 476 properties since the same month previously, which is awesome. If you look at sales price, though, sales price has been pretty flat to negative. We saw two kind of negatives here. Median price down 1.2% at 376,500. Average sale price down 1.3% at 462,374. One thing I've been talking about, though, with clients, if you noticed, prices peaked out this year in May. It peaked out at 520,000, then went down to 499, then down to 476. It bumped up a little bit at 496, then back down to 478. And right now we're at 462, which is a $60,000 difference from where it was just in May from average sale price. And so that's something to keep watching out for. Obviously, it was kind of very, very slow. Rates are very, very high. So we're seeing hopefully that bounces back very, very soon. We'll see a lot more confidence in buyers coming in as well. Condo market, very, very similar. Condo market, sales down 13% last month overall. Prices actually held pretty good. Prices up 6% last month at $293,000 for average sale price. They also peaked out in May. Median price flat from last year at $245,000 even. And so that's just something that we're seeing overall, where condos been taking a beating just because of high insurance, a lot of assessments, a lot of inventory. It is a buyer's market for condos right now. But really quick, we'll jump into the micro market. Just bear with me because each area is different. We always break it down by zip code. So Myrtle Beach, 29577, 29572. Sales last month in Myrtle Beach for single-family homes down 13.2%. Year-to-date, though, sales in Myrtle Beach down 23%. So that was kind of shocking. Seeing they lead the pack, right? Whatever happens first in Myrtle Beach tends to follow the other areas after a few months. Hopefully, we'll see a change in that with the new administration. Looking at median price, it's pretty flat. It's actually the exact number where it was last year to date. Right now, $497,500. Last year, the same exact time as $497,525. So only a $25 difference overall. Condo sales in Myrtle Beach down 25% last month. Year to date, down 19.6%. And prices up 2.2% year to date, which is not too bad, right? 235,000 versus 230. Inventory, though, for condos is up 44%. Inventory for homes in Myrtle Beach is up 41%. Last year, there's 163 houses. Right now, 230 houses. So that's why the agent you choose matters, right? You want to make sure it doesn't sit there and sit there and sit there. You want to make sure it gets the right differentiation. Inventory has gone through the roof. And so now you can't just pick any old agent or any part-time agent or anything like that, because otherwise the only differentiation you have is to lower your price below where you should, and it costs you your hard-earned equity, which is a big deal. North Myrtle Beach, 29582 zip code. Year-to-date sales down 8.9% from the same time last year. Last month, down 41%. Obviously, the number's a little bit lower. It went from 65 last October to 38 this October. So it's not that bad, but if you look at year-to-date, down 8.9%. Prices last month down 2% at 547,000. Year to date, though, prices are up in North Myrtle, which is awesome, at 568,000, up 6.3%. Inventory of homes in North Myrtle Beach is up 68% from the same time last year. And so last October, there's 153 properties. Right now, 257. So lots of those there. Overall, condo sales year to date in North Myrtle down 19.7%. Prices, not too bad, only down 3.8% at 317,500. Inventory is up 37% for condos. And so those are the big numbers I'm looking at for North Myrtle. Lots of inventory. Like I said, almost 70% increase in homes for sale versus last October just in North Myrtle Beach. That's why you want to make sure you pick a great agent who can get that differentiated and make sure you're not losing equity there. Surfside Beach, where I grew up, 29575. Sales last month down 43%. So last October, there's 51 sales. This October, 29 sales. And so year to date, holding strong, though, only down 1.2%, which is good news. Prices year to date are up 8.6% in Surfside, which is awesome, at 392,000. Last year, it's 361. Inventory in Surfside Beach up 24.5% overall. Not a whole lot of condos there. So we'll really get into that. Garden City, Myrtle's Inlet area. Sales are up last month, up 9.7%. Year-to-date sales are up 6.3%, which is awesome. Prices are actually up 1%. So not a huge gain, but at least it's not negative. Right now, the median price, $449,050. Last year is $445,000. Inventory for homes in Garden City, Myrtle's Inlet, up 31.6%. So those are huge numbers you're seeing there. In all these areas where 30-40% increase in homes for sale. Ultimately, you tend to see prices soften if you don't see sales increase, because it's always that lagging indicator overall. In a Little River, single family home sales up 45% last month, which is great. We've seen a lot of this happen from new construction, a lot of new construction sales right now, a lot of great deals with new construction. You're seeing the builders are building a little bit further out than the center, like Myrtle Beach, North Myrtle Beach, Surfside, because that's where the land was, right? So right now, year-to-date sales in Little River up 11.6%, which is awesome. Prices are down, though, 1.3% from the same time last year, from 380 down to 375. Inventory, not too bad. Inventory is actually only up 6.5%. One of the best performing zip codes of the entire Grand Strand is Little River, which is awesome. Into Loris and Longs, they've had a huge boom in construction, new construction. We've sold lots of those out there, as well as some land. We just did an instant buyout this past week in Loris out there with some land on with a house. But closed sales last month up 10.5%. Sales in Loris and Longs up 30%. Year to date, which is awesome. So you contrast that against Myrtle Beach, where sales are down 23%. That's a big gap. And that's why you want to make sure you use the right data when you're making decisions, because some areas are performing better than others based on affordability, based on what's happening. And so you always want to keep that in mind. Inventory is up in Loris and Longs, up 16%. There is a lot of competition right now with new construction. They just have very good margins. Many of those have been in the works for years. They are able to offer a lot of incentives in terms of lending. And so you're seeing a lot of them also do year-end closeout sales to get those numbers in the books for the end of the year. And so we've seen some builders discount $40,000, $50,000 off their house. And we put a couple of those under contract this past week as our team. So Carolina Forest area, that area is down 8.9% year to date. Last month, sales down 5.3%. The good news is price is holding strong. Price up 1.2% year versus year from 420 to 425. Inventory, homes for sale is up 15.1% in that area. Soxy area, sales last month, rock and rolled up 19% last month, which is interesting. Year to date, those sales down 9.7%. Prices, though, doing well, up 5.2% year to date at $355,000. They were at $337,000 last year, and a huge increase in the amount of homes for sale, up 25.8%. Why is that? Well, because many more homes are sitting on the market longer. The average days on market now is well over 100 days in most areas, and so that's why you're seeing homes sit there, be there a little bit longer as well. Into Georgetown. Georgetown sales pretty much flat year to date. It was actually 242 sales at this time last year. Right now, 243. Prices, though, up 12%. So one of the best performing areas in terms of price, from 330 last year to 372 this year, which is awesome. Inventory is up 9.5% overall. Aner area, sales are down 28%. Only 84 last year's 117. There was some new construction out there last year that was getting sold as well. Prices, though, doing very, very well. Prices year to date are up 10.9% from 280,000 up to 310,000. And inventory, one of the few areas that inventory is down actually 10% overall. And so overall, you're seeing big gaps based on area. We always kind of see it moves, dynamically based on what buyer type you're coming in, what they're looking for, how much new construction is out there. You'll see the Myrtle Beach area kind of comes in first, and Surfside, Garden City, North Myrtle Beach, Cherry Grove tends to follow that. And so you see prices rise. People tend to go to where it's more affordable, which tends to be more inland. And so you always want to base your strategy based on how hot that area is, what's happening, so you can make sure you attract the right buyer. And you also do something that we do very, very well. You always want to attract a buyer who's going to be the buyer POV. The buyer POV is basically who's the most likely buyer for that property based on area, type, and price range as well. And so a lot of great stuff happened there. One thing driving this is interest rates, right? Interest rates have really been high the past few weeks. Last week's show, I think we're at 6.98. Right now we're at 7.02. After the election, lots of money went to the stock market, to equities, to even crypto. And so that hurt the bond market a little bit. The good news is Fed did reduce the rate quarter point last week. We hopefully will see some pressure come off. The bond market perform better, which allows us to see interest rates go down. We'll watch and see. I think it's going to be a few weeks, if anything, to see some movement. It's been holding steady there. I do say there's so much pent-up demand, so many buyers that are ready to jump. As soon as you see that get back to the mid-sixes, even low sixes, you see lots of sales come in because they have that confidence and certainty behind. If you want to know more how it works, you want to know what your property's worth, we have an instant online tool. You can get a cash offer online. You also get a great tool to keep all your investment properties, all your personal properties. Go to blakesloan.com. There's an instant link there, and you can save your dashboard to see real-time equity and everything that's selling around you. Take a quick break, right back in a second. About 5 minutes.
Let's see. This will be. Yep.
All right.
5 minutes.
That's great. The seller has a big one. Work with my friend Blake Sloan. Get the home sold on your terms.
Hey, WRNN listeners, Blake Travis here. As investors in real estate, Buck and I both know exactly what to look for to find the agent with the best tools and marketing to get the highest sales price possible for a home.
Totally true, Clay. And here in Myrtle Beach, that agent is our friend Blake Sloan of Sloan Realty Group. If you need to sell a home and buy a new one, ask Blake about his guarantee.
Get this, Blake guarantees to sell your home at a price and deadline you agree to, or he'll buy it himself. And since you know what your current home will sell by and for how much, you can buy your next home without worrying about getting stuck with two more.
There's simply no other agent in the market who has a guarantee that will line up against what Blake Sloan can offer you. So when you are looking to sell and buy, he is your guy. Read nearly 750 five-star reviews by Googling Sloan Realty Group. Give Blake a call today and start packing that Sloan Realty Group.
And tune in to Blake's show Saturdays at 9 a.m. and Sundays at 11:30 a.m.
Welcome back to Blake Sloan Real Estate Radio Show. We need to update that commercial. We actually had 1,000 5-star reviews right now on Google. It's like 990 something we're at, which is awesome news. So appreciate all the past clients there. But really quick, hot buyers alert. My team now working the ridiculous amount of home buyers. Look at my properties here in Myrtle Beach, Grand Strand area. Anywhere from $250,000 to $4.3 million. If you're thinking about selling, please contact us immediately. 843-808-SOLD. That's 843-808-SOLD. One thing we've been doing here a long time is proof versus promises, right? A lot of agents promise all this stuff, and we just say, look, we put our money where our mouth is. And one thing we do every single week is we share how many active home buyers we have on our website, like with a username, password, account, and the difference. Everybody's like, what makes you different? Well, the reality is we're spending right at 6 figures a month in marketing right now, every single month, driving from all across the globe. And so we have buyers from across the nation, international buyers, and they're what we call buyers in waiting. We make 16,000 phone calls a week with 25, buyers agents in our team. And so their job is to match up buyers and sellers. And so we're very, very aggressive in that. And so what happens is versus an average agent puts a for sale sign in your yard when they start, we've been doing this for months and months and years. And so we have 78,454 buyers looking to buy a property, potentially like yours. And we also have software that we can use to reverse engineer the most likely buyer for your property that we have based on their previous search patterns. Almost like when you see a Facebook ad that matches what you're looking for, we have that same technology that we use every single day. Right now, I got Jack Kaminsky, he's from Hudson, New York. I got Dee from Woodside, New York. I got Elliot from Holmdel, New Jersey. I got Salisbury, North Carolina, Harrisville, West Virginia, Houston, Texas, Myrtle's Inlet, Germantown, Maryland, Neptune, New Jersey, Ferndale, Michigan, Dearborn, Michigan, Oakland Gardens, New York. So all over the place, we have buyers that are looking to buy properties just like yours. So if you have anyone that think about selling, have them reach out, call us, 843-808-SOLD. Anytime we sit down with sellers, we literally pull up your property. We can show you all the exact buyers we have that are looking real time. They're looking for something just like yours. And you owe it to yourself to at least just investigate, at least look at it. And that's one thing that's super important as well. Really quick, awesome success stories. Got a few minutes left here. Big shout out to Ron. Ron owned a house in the city of Myrtle Beach. He saw that we recently sold a house right around the corner from him with only a few days. Reached out to us, wanted to sell his property for him. We met with Ron, shared with him. We had hundreds of buyers looking for other properties just like his, the one he had to sell. We came in, I designed a custom plan, launched our global marketing blitz, professional photos, virtual walkthrough, drove massive traffic. We had 2 days. Ron had multiple offers on his property, drove the price up, had amazing cash as his offer on his property. He's able to walk away with maximum money in his pocket, which is awesome. Also, Werner owned a house in Myrtle Beach used as a rental property. Unfortunately, the tenant did not take great care of the property. When the tenant moved out, Werner found that it needed a lot of repairs. He's tired of being landlord, didn't want to have to redo that again. He started looking at options to sell the property. Initially talked to a few agents, and they all wanted him to basically put a lot of time and money in fixing the home all the way back up. Also talked to a few investors who were only offering pennies in the dollar. Thankfully, he saw our billboards. He called us. We met with Werner and gave him a couple different options. We said we can sell it as is. You can touch up a few small things for just a little bit of money, and we have a vendor that does that. Or we can do a full retail. He chose the second one, put a little money into it, just a few things he gingerbreaded. And we launched our global marketing blitz with professional photos, drove massive traffic within a couple of weeks, had a fantastic offer on his property. He was able to move on without doing many repairs and not put much money out of pocket, which is awesome. Also, big shout out to Kim. She was one I told me earlier, had a house in Loris, wanted to sell, had some land with it, didn't want to go through the hassle of fixing anything or putting it on the market for showings. So she saw the billboards, reached out for an instant guaranteed cash offer. We made a fair offer, exactly what she wanted there, closed the exact date she wanted so she could close on her other property. And we just closed that one out last week. Win-win for both. So we have multiple options that you can have. If you want to know more how they work, reach out, call us, 843-808-SOLD. Also, always go to BlakeSloan.com as well, which is important. One thing to look at is just thinking about a minute left, right? So one thing you always look at, election years always bring a temporary slowdown right before the election. If you look back, it tracks a lot of data, potentially usually about a 15% slowdown from the election years 1963 to 2019. And it just has to do a lot of uncertainty. If you look at what's happened, it's bounced back 9 out of the last 11 presidential elections, which is awesome. And so we're seeing that now. Lots of excitement. If you think about something, get your ducks in order. Reach out to me for any questions. More than happy to help you. 843-808-SOLD or BlakeSloan.com. We'll see you back here next week.
I could talk fast.
Man, that was a fast one. I don't know. I never thinking like I need to slow down.